The architectural history of Burgas. When people think about architecture, they often imagine grand capitals like Paris, Rome, or Istanbul. But some of the most interesting architectural stories are found in quieter coastal cities, places shaped slowly by trade, culture, war, and everyday life. One of those cities is Burgas, a beautiful port city on the Black Sea coast of Bulgaria. At first glance, Burgas may look modern and relaxed. But beneath its streets, buildings, and neighborhoods lies a long architectural journey, one that stretches from ancient settlements to Ottoman houses, from socialist concrete blocks to modern glass towers. This is the architectural history of Burgas, a story not just of buildings but of people, survival, and transformation. 1. The earliest settlements, before Burgas had a name. Long before Burgas existed as a city, the land around it was already important. Thousands of years ago, Thracian tribes lived in this region. They were among the earliest people in southeastern Europe. These tribes did not build large stone cities like the Romans later would, but they did create fortified settlements, wooden homes, and sacred places. Their buildings were simple. Wooden frames, clay walls, thatched roofs. Most of these structures have disappeared because natural materials do not survive long. But archaeologists have found tools, foundations, and burial sites that show organized living. The Thracians chose this area because it had access to the sea, freshwater lakes, fertile land, natural protection. Even at this early stage, the geography of Burgas was shaping how people built and lived. 2. Greek and Roman influence. Stone replaces wood. Around the 6th century BCE, Greek traders arrived along the Black Sea coast. They founded colonies nearby such as Apollonia, modern Sozopol. Although Burgas itself was not yet a major Greek city, Greek culture influenced the entire region. Greek architecture introduced new ideas: stone construction, rectangular planning, public spaces like agoras, temples and ports. Later, the Romans took control of the area. This marked a major turning point in architecture. The Romans were master builders. They introduced roads made of stone, bridges, bathhouses, fortresses, aqueduct systems. Near Burgas, Roman fortifications such as Dultum were built. Dultum was a Roman colony for retired soldiers, and its remains show typical Roman planning: straight streets, defensive walls, and strong stone foundations. Roman architecture focused on strength, order, function. These ideas would influence building styles in the region for centuries. 3. The Byzantine period. Faith shapes architecture. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the region came under Byzantine control. During this time, architecture became deeply connected to Christianity. The most important buildings were now churches. Byzantine architectural features included brick and stone mixed together, arched windows, domes, decorative patterns on walls. Churches were usually smaller than Roman public buildings, but they were spiritually powerful. They were built to inspire awe and faith rather than political strength. In and around the Burgas region, many early Christian basilicas appeared. Though most survive only as ruins, they show how religion reshaped the architectural priorities of society. Instead of forums and baths, cities focused on churches, monasteries, defensive walls. Architecture became quieter, more symbolic, and deeply spiritual. 4. Medieval Bulgaria, fortresses and survival. As the Bulgarian state emerged in the Middle Ages, architecture became strongly defensive. Life during medieval times was uncertain. Wars, invasions, and shifting borders were common. Because of this, architecture focused on protection. Typical features included thick stone walls, watchtowers, hilltop fortresses, narrow entrances. Near Burgas, several medieval fortifications were built to guard the coast and inland routes. Homes during this time were very modest. Stone foundations, wooden upper floors, small windows. Most people were farmers or craftsmen, and buildings reflected practical needs rather than beauty. Still, medieval Bulgarian architecture developed a strong identity: simple, strong, and closely tied to the land. 5. The Ottoman period, a new urban identity. In the late 14th century, the region fell under Ottoman rule, which lasted for nearly 500 years. This period completely transformed Burgas. Before the Ottomans, Burgas was only a small settlement. Under Ottoman administration, it slowly grew into a port town. Ottoman architecture brought new building types: mosques, baths, hammams, caravanserais, wooden houses with overhanging upper floors. Traditional Ottoman houses became the most common architectural form. These houses usually had stone ground floors, wooden upper levels, wide eaves, inner courtyards, large windows on the upper floors. They were designed for privacy, climate control, family life. Streets were narrow and curved, not planned in straight lines. This made towns feel organic and human-scaled. Burgas during this time was multicultural. Bulgarians, Turks, Greeks, Armenians, and Jews lived side by side, and their buildings reflected this mixture. Architecture was not grand, but it was warm, practical, and deeply connected to daily life. 6. The 19th century, national revival and new confidence. The 19th century brought huge change. As Bulgaria moved toward independence, a period known as the National Revival began. Architecture became a way to express identity. Buildings now showed pride, education, and progress. In Burgas, this period marked the transition from a small Ottoman town to a modern Bulgarian city. Key features of National Revival architecture included symmetrical facades, decorative wooden details, larger windows, brightly painted walls, 2- and 3-story houses. Schools, cultural centers, and churches were built with care and beauty. Unlike earlier periods focused on survival, this era focused on expression. Homes were no longer just shelters, they were statements of hope and independence. Many of the earliest preserved historic houses in Burgas come from this time. 7. After liberation, European influence arrives. After Bulgaria gained independence in 1878, Burgas changed rapidly. The city became one of the country's most important ports. Trade expanded. Population increased. Urban planning became more organized. This is when European architectural styles arrived. Architects from Austria, Italy, and Central Europe influenced the city. New styles included neoclassicism, Baroque details, Art Nouveau, Secession style. Buildings now featured decorative facades, columns and balconies, ornamented windows, elegant proportions. Public buildings such as city halls, schools, theaters, banks, were designed to look impressive and modern. Streets became wider. Urban blocks were planned more carefully. Burgas was no longer a quiet port, it was becoming a true European city. 8. Early 20th century, the Golden Urban Era. The early 1900s are often considered the golden age of Burgas architecture. During this time, many of the city's most beautiful buildings were constructed. Art Nouveau became especially popular. This style included curved lines, floral patterns, artistic iron balconies, elegant entrances. Architecture felt alive and creative. Buildings were not identical, each had its own personality. This period gave Burgas its charming city center, which still defines the city's image today. Walking through central Burgas, you can still see decorative facades, old residential buildings, elegant proportions. This architecture reflected optimism, belief in the future, culture, and progress. 9. Socialist era, concrete and mass housing. After World War II, Bulgaria became a socialist state. Architecture changed dramatically. The new goal was not beauty, it was function and equality. The state needed to house thousands of people quickly. This led to the rise of large apartment blocks, prefabricated concrete buildings, uniform neighborhoods. In Burgas, entire districts were built using the same designs. These buildings were fast to construct, affordable, strong, but they lacked individuality. This style is often called socialist modernism or panel housing. Public buildings from this era were monumental and heavy, often designed to look powerful rather than welcoming. Despite criticism, these structures played a major role in shaping modern Burgas. Millions of people grew up in these neighborhoods, they became part of daily life. 10. Late 20th century, transition and change. After the fall of socialism in 1989, architecture entered a confusing but creative phase. Rules changed quickly. Private construction returned. Some buildings were experimental, sometimes chaotic. New trends appeared. Glass facades, commercial centers, hotels, office buildings. Not all projects were successful, but they represented freedom, the freedom to build differently again. Burgas also began restoring its historic buildings. Old houses were renovated. The city center regained its charm. Architecture now balanced between old and new. 11. Modern Burgas, a city looking forward. Today, Burgas is one of Bulgaria's most modern coastal cities. Modern architecture focuses on sustainability, public spaces, tourism, urban comfort. New buildings include contemporary residential complexes, seaside hotels, cultural centers, renovated promenades. Glass, steel, and clean lines dominate modern design. At the same time, the city works to protect its architectural heritage. Historic buildings are preserved. Public parks and open spaces are redesigned. Burgas shows how a city can grow without forgetting its past. Conclusion: a city written in stone and time. The architectural history of Burgas is not the story of one style, it is the story of many layers. Each era left its mark. Thracian simplicity, Roman order, Byzantine faith, medieval defense, Ottoman warmth, national revival pride, European elegance, socialist practicality, modern innovation. Together they form a city shaped by time, culture, and human need. Burgas teaches us that architecture is not just about buildings. It is about how people live, how they protect themselves, how they express identity, and how they imagine the future. From ancient settlements to modern seafronts, Burgas continues to evolve, quietly carrying its history forward, stone by stone.